Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, seek His help, and ask for His forgiveness. And we seek refuge in Allah from the evil of ourselves and from our bad deeds. Whoever Allah guides, no one can lead astray. And whoever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is no worthy of worship except Allah alone, without any partners. I bear witness that Muhammad is His servant and messenger. Welcome to another episode of this distinguished program. A new approach to the Quran, entitled, "And all of his action is lahan." This statement is part of a phrase that was said by Malik ibn Dinar. May Allah be pleased with him. I swear by Allah, his statement breaks my heart. He said, "You can find a person who recites the Quran without making a single mistake. In recitation makes no lahan, yet all his actions are lahan." Please let me repeat his statement. You can find a person who recites the Quran without making a single mistake. In recitation makes no lahan, yet all his actions are lahan. This person unfortunately understood the term lahan incorrectly. This term is commonly used for mistakes made in tajweed rules while reciting the Quran. However, it is most appropriate to be used for mistakes in understanding the meaning of the Quran or for mistakes in acting upon it. Why is the term tajweed commonly restricted to perfecting the Quranic forms only? Undoubtedly, the science of tajweed is related to the Quranic forms. But why don't we elevate the science of tajweed from merely perfecting the Quranic form to perfecting the Quranic meaning and action? We put a great effort to avoid making mistakes in the Quranic form. So why don't we make a greater effort to avoid lahan in the meanings? And why don't we make a greater effort to avoid the lahan of the action? SubhanAllah, what would happen when we make mistakes or lahan in the form? According to the science of tajweed, it is either a clear or hidden lahan. The scholars have two opinions about the person who makes clear lahan. Some scholars say that this person is sinful, assuming that tajweed is obligatory. Others say that he is not sinful, assuming that tajweed is recommended. However, if a person makes a lahan in understanding the Quran, this might lead him to disbelieve or to behave like the Kharijites by shedding Muslim blood and slandering them. And if a person makes lahan or mistaken actions, he may enter the hellfire. Additionally, if this person makes lahan in actions, he might be a bad representation of the bearers, the memorizers, and the people of the Quran. I swear by Allah, the lahan in understanding the meanings of the Quran or the lahan in actions is much more serious than the lahan in the Quranic forms. This is not an invitation to abandon the tajweed concerning the form of the Quran, because it is a valuable matter. Indeed, the person who applies tajweed is better than the one who doesn't. Additionally, I'm not inviting you to neglect the lahan in the form of the Quran, but I'm inviting you to elevate our aspirations from focusing only on the Quranic form to perfect its meaning and acting upon the Quran. We should strive not only to avoid mistakes in the form of the Quran, but also to avoid mistakes in the meaning, actions, and ittiba, which is abiding by the teachings of the Quran. This is what I mean, and this is what Malik bin Dinar stated when he said, "You can find a person who recites the Quran without making a single mistake in recitation, makes no lahan." Here Malik bin Dinar refers to lahan in the context of the Quranic form. He continued, while his action is all lahan in this context, Malik bin Dinar refers to lahan in terms of the Quranic meaning and action. His action is lahan, subhanallah. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, during one of his council meetings, a reciter was reciting heart-touching ayat. Beside him was someone expert in the science of tajweed. After the reciter finished his recitation, he told him, "You made a mistake in this and that." Then Umar ibn Abdul Aziz looked at him and said, "Oh you, wasn't there something in what you heard that preoccupied you from merely focusing on the lahan? This is a setting of worship, not a setting of teaching." Unfortunately, this is what some of our brothers who are experts in tajweed are afflicted with. Such a person would pray while solely focusing on the subtle lahan concerning the form of the Quran made by the reciter. This distraction prevents him from understanding the Quran and engaging in tadabbur, which is a special reflection of the heart on the likely consequences of texts. We should differentiate between the setting of teaching and the setting of worship. In a worship setting, like the gathering of Abdul Aziz we mentioned earlier, we should listen for the sake of understanding tadabbur and ittibar, especially because the reciter did not make a clear lahan. But in training and teaching settings, it's acceptable to be strict with the reciter, even regarding articulation points, characteristics of the letters, and other details. No doubt that the science of tajweed is precious and noble. I appreciate whoever is engaged in this science, But they shouldn't solely focus on perfecting the form of the Quran. Rather, these honorable people should rise beyond that. They should prioritize the meanings as much as they do with the form. This is so important. Allah says, and recite the Quran with measured recitation. Let's review the true meaning of this ayah according to the interpreters of the Quran and according to its common understanding. This ayah is commonly mentioned in regards to perfecting the recitation of the Quran with the application of full tajweed rules. However, our scholars explain that this ayah is related to the meanings of the Quran as well, because recitation of the Quran with the application of tajweed rules is a way to understand the meanings. Indeed, we can't act upon the Quran unless we make tadabbur, and we can't make tadabbur unless we understand it first. However, we can't understand it correctly unless we recite it properly while applying tajweed rules. This is what we should aim to achieve. Eventually, reciting it correctly is still a mean that should not replace the aim. Additionally, we should not just stop at the means. Al-Qurtubi, may Allah have mercy on him, explained the ayah of and recite the Quran with measured recitation as, O Muhammad, do not hasten reciting the Quran, but rather recite it slowly, attentively, and make tadabbur of the meanings. Subhanallah. In a previous episode, we mentioned what happened with the famous Quran reciter Hamza, when a person came to him and said, I came to recite to you with tahqiq, to read the Quran slowly. Hamza cried. The person asked Hamza, may Allah have mercy on you, what makes you cry? Hamza said, oh my son, what you call tahqiq is actually tashdiq, to speak without caution. Son, real tahqiq is preserving the Quran. So, tahqiq is to prioritize the Quran and abide by the Quranic teachings. Preserving the Quran primarily is the preservation of al-ra'aya, turning the knowledge gained into action. Again, what you call tahqiq is actually tashdiq, as true tahqiq is preserving the Quran. The preservation of the Quran is not limited to the preservation of al-riwaya, reciting it with full tajweed rules. It also includes the preservation of al-diraya, understanding the meaning of the Quran and engaging in tadabbur, and al-ri'aya, turning the knowledge gained into action. This is what I invite the respected Quran reciters to do. On the other hand, I am really surprised from those who are well skilled at English, French, and many other languages, yet they are not good at reading the Book of Allah correctly. How come? They may take educational courses and pay so much just to perfect their English, French, Italian, or German dialect. If they were told that they have poor English or a heavy accent, they would take class just to improve their English. They want to avoid saying table instead of table. They strive to read and speak in English like natives. Subhanallah. They would spend their time, money, and effort only for this worldly matters, whereas unfortunately they neglect learning the Book of Allah correctly. They would poorly recite the Book of Allah, meanwhile they spend their time and effort gaining worldly matters. There is no problem with gaining worldly knowledge, but the real issue is neglecting to learn the tajweed of the Book of Allah, while claiming that learning a foreign language is easy, whereas learning the Book of Allah is difficult. Subhanallah. Allah made the Quran easy. Allah says, and we have certainly made the Quran easy to remember. So is there anyone who will be mindful? Allah also says, and indeed we have eased the Quran in your tongue. So Allah made the Quran easy to be recited with tajweed, but they simply neglected it. Now, let's discuss the term al-mahir in the Quran, or the proficient in the Quran. The Messenger, peace be upon him, said, according to the narration of Imam Muslim, the one who is al-mahir, proficient in the recitation of the Quran, will be with the honorable and obedient scribes, angels, and he who recites the Quran and finds it difficult to recite will have two rewards. However, the narration of Al-Bukhari, may Allah be pleased with him, will help us to better understand the term al-mahir in Quran. He reported, وَمَثَلُ الَّذِي يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ وَهُوَ حَافِظٌ مَعَ السَّفَرَةِ الْكِرَامِ الْبَرَرَةِ. Such a person as recites the Quran and masters it by heart will be with the noble righteous scribes in heaven. And such a person exerts himself to learn the Quran by heart and recites it with great difficulty will have a double reward. Imam Ahmad narrated in his Musnad, such a person as recites the Quran and he is a master will be with or like the noble righteous scribes in heaven. Subhanallah. The righteous scribes are called as-safara, referring to the angels. The term as-sifara in Arabic implies clarifying the meaning and reconciliation between two parties. As-safara could also mean that angels travel between Allah and His prophets and work towards the well-being of people. As for the term kiram, means that they are honorable to their Lord. In brief, the scholars said that kiram is the plural form of karim, meaning that they are gracious, rising above sins. Also, angels are being kiram when they refrain from being present with the children of Adam when a person is alone with their spouse. Additionally, they are showing the characteristics of kiram when they prioritize the interests of others over their own. Are these behavioral traits or traits related to their strong memorization abilities? They are behavioral traits, aren't they? Indeed, they are behavioral traits. Among their traits is that they're bararat, dutiful, which is the plural form of bar. The summary of what scholars said about bararat, that they are obedient to Allah, dutiful, truthful to Allah, and good doers. Are these behavioral traits, performative traits, or human attributes? Indeed, they are behavioral traits. So, the one who is al-mahir in the Quran will be with those angels who are described as as-safara, fulfilling the role of conveying the message. They travel between Allah and His prophets and work to improve the conditions of people. Additionally, they are honorable to their Lord, rising above disobedience. They prioritize the interests of others over their own. They are noble, obedient, truthful, and good doers. These are behavioral traits. So the one who is al-mahir in the Quran will be with those angels. What is the meaning of with them? The summary of what the scholars said is either resembling them in their attributes or being like them in their rank. So either he resembles them in their attributes or he will be with them in rank. To recap what we discussed, the Prophet, peace be upon him, says that al-mahir in the Quran is with those honorable, righteous, and dutiful angels. This person who is al-mahir in the Quran either resembles the angels in their attributes or rank. This couldn't be applicable to the person who is proficient only in a riwayah. Rather, this is applicable to the person who is proficient in a riwayah, ad-dirayat, ar-ri'ayah. The person who is proficient only in a riwayah couldn't resemble the angels in their rank, because those high ranks couldn't be earned by just preserving a riwayah. This was stated by Al-Qari and other scholars. So we can conclude that the al-mahir is the one who is proficient in a riwayah, a dirayah, and a ri'ayah. But he is more proficient in a riwayah. Linguistically, al-mahir is proficiency in any task. Regarding the Quran, al-mahir has excellent care in a riwayah. However, he has a dirayat and a ri'ayah as well. This is the one who is with the honorable, noble, and dutiful angels. We have discussed the topic of al-mahir in the Quran in our book, Rihlatul Bahth an Ahl al-Quran. We concluded scholars' opinions regarding this topic, and we provided evidences. Based on those evidences, we deduced that the al-mahir in the Quran is not only the one who is proficient in a riwayah, but proficient in a dirayah, a ri'ayat as well. We ask Allah the Almighty to make me and you among those who fulfill the prerequisites of the noble Quran, the prerequisites of its forms and its meanings. We ask Allah to make us among those who recite it with tajweed, understand its meanings, and act upon it. O Allah, make us among those who avoid making lahn in its forms, meanings, or action. We ask Allah to make us proficient in a riwayah, a dirayah, a ri'ayah, and to make us among those who preserve a riwayah, a dirayah, and a ri'ayah of the Quran. He is the master of that and the one capable of it. I repeat, do not misunderstand my statement as belittling the importance of tajweed or a riwayah. Rather, we want to level up from merely preserving a riwayah to the preservation of a dirayah and a ri'ayah. We should seek achieving the three status, insha'Allah. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us all among the people of the Quran. Those are the people of Allah and those who are closest to Him. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت استغفرك وأتوب إليك. Be well. See you again in a new episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.